The most disturbing aspect of this case isn't that a young woman was found dead in a hotel water tank. It's that for weeks, hundreds of guests unknowingly drank, bathed, and brushed their teeth with water that had been contaminated by her decomposing body. And the surveillance footage of her final moments shows behavior so bizarre that it sparked global conspiracy theories and internet obsession. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're fascinated by true crime mysteries and unexplained cases, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel with notifications turned on for more incredible stories like this one. January 26th, 2013 should have been just another day in what 21-year-old Elisa Lamb had planned as the adventure of a lifetime. The University of British Columbia student had been meticulously planning a solo trip down the west coast of the United States, documenting her journey through blog posts and social media updates that painted the picture of an intelligent, creative young woman eager to explore the world beyond her Vancouver home. Lamb had already visited San Diego and was making her way north through California when she arrived in Los Angeles, the city of dreams that would become the site of her nightmare. She had booked a stay at what she believed was the Stay on Main, a budget hostel in downtown Los Angeles that seemed perfect for a young traveler looking to experience the city without breaking the bank. What she didn't fully realize was that the Stay on Main was actually part of the infamous Cecil Hotel, a building with one of the darkest histories in American hospitality. The Cecil Hotel, built in 1927 during the height of Los Angeles' downtown boom, had opened with grand aspirations of luxury and elegance. However, the Great Depression and the hotel's location in what would become Skid Row transformed it into something far more sinister. By the time Elisa Lamb checked in, the Cecil had earned a reputation as one of the most dangerous hotels in America, a place where violence, suicide, and death were tragically common occurrences. The hotel's guest registry read like a who's who of America's most notorious criminals. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker serial killer who terrorized Los Angeles in the 1980s, had lived at the Cecil for extended periods, using it as his base of operations while committing his horrific crimes. Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger had also stayed at the hotel in 1991, during which time he murdered 3 prostitutes in the Los Angeles area. The building had witnessed more than a dozen suicides and murders since its opening, earning it the nickname Hotel Death. For the first few days of her stay, Lamb seemed to be enjoying her Los Angeles experience. She posted updates on her blog, Nouvelle Nouveau, sharing her thoughts about the city and her travels. Her writing revealed a thoughtful, introspective young woman who was passionate about fashion, literature, and life itself. However, those who encountered her during her stay began to notice troubling changes in her behavior. Hotel staff reported that Lamb had been moved from a shared dormitory-style room to a private room after other guests complained about her disruptive behavior. She had been talking to herself, acting erratically, and making other guests uncomfortable with her unpredictable actions. Hotel manager Amy Price later described an incident in the lobby where Lamb had an outburst, displaying behavior that was clearly not normal for the young woman. What hotel staff and other guests didn't know was that Elisa Lamb was struggling with bipolar disorder, a serious mental health condition that affects millions of people worldwide. Bipolar disorder, formerly known as manic depression, causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs called mania or hypomania, and lows characterized by depression. During manic episodes, individuals may experience racing thoughts, decreased need for sleep, rapid speech, distractibility, and an increase in risky behavior. In severe cases, people experiencing manic episodes can also suffer from disorganized thinking, false beliefs, and hallucinations. Lamb had been prescribed medication to manage her condition, but toxicology tests would later reveal that she had not been taking her prescribed medication as directed in the days leading up to her disappearance. Her sister would later tell investigators that Lamb had a pattern of going off her medication, which would then cause her to experience hallucinations that made her hide in fear from perceived threats that existed only in her mind. On January 31st, 2013, Elisa Lamb was last seen alive. She had maintained daily contact with her parents throughout her trip, calling them every day to check in and share her experiences. When February 1st came and went without a call, her parents knew immediately that something was wrong. They contacted the Los Angeles Police Department, and Lam was officially reported missing. The search for Elisa Lam began immediately. LAPD officers combed the streets of downtown Los Angeles, while search dogs were brought in to track her scent through the hotel. The dogs led investigators to an open window with a fire escape, but from there, the trail went cold. A thorough search of the hotel, including its roof, failed to find any trace of the missing young woman. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. With no leads and no witnesses, police made the decision to release surveillance footage from the hotel's security cameras, hoping that someone in the public might have information about Lam's whereabouts. On February 13, 2013, the LAPD released 4 minutes of grainy elevator security camera footage that would become one of the most watched and analyzed pieces of video in internet history. The footage shows Lam entering the elevator, pressing multiple buttons, and then waiting. When the elevator doors fail to close, she begins to exhibit increasingly bizarre behavior. She peers cautiously around the door frame, as if checking to see if someone is following her. She steps in and out of the elevator repeatedly, pressing buttons frantically. Most disturbing of all, she appears to be talking to someone who isn't there, making wild hand gestures as if engaged in an animated conversation with an invisible person. The elevator video captured the public's imagination in a way that few pieces of evidence ever have. Within days of its release, the footage had gone viral, accumulating millions of views and spawning countless theories about what had happened to Elisa Lam. Internet sleuths analyzed every frame, looking for clues about who or what might have been threatening her. Some claimed to see shadowy figures in the footage, while others suggested that the video had been edited to hide evidence of her attacker. The timing of the video's release couldn't have been worse for generating rational discussion. February 14th was Valentine's Day, and the eerie footage of a young woman apparently in distress struck a chord with viewers around the world. Conspiracy theories began to proliferate across social media platforms, with some suggesting paranormal activity, government cover-ups, or elaborate murder plots involving the hotel's dark history. On February 19, 2013, nearly 3 weeks after Lam's disappearance, hotel guests began complaining about problems with the water supply. The water pressure was low, and when water did come out of the taps, it was discolored and had a strange, unpleasant taste. Some guests reported that the water had an odd smell, while others noticed that it appeared murky or had an unusual color. A hotel maintenance worker was sent to the roof to investigate the water tanks that supplied the building. What he discovered there would haunt him for the rest of his life. Floating face up in one of the 4 large water tanks was the naked body of Elisa Lam. Her clothes were found at the bottom of the tank, and she had clearly been dead for some time. The realization that hotel guests had been unknowingly consuming water contaminated by her decomposing body added another layer of horror to an already tragic case. The discovery of Lam's body raised more questions than it answered. How had she accessed the roof, which was supposed to be secured with locked doors and alarm systems? How had she managed to get into the water tank, which was 10 feet high and covered with a heavy metal lid? Why were her clothes found separately from her body? And where were her personal belongings, including her phone and room key? The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office conducted a thorough autopsy and investigation. The final ruling was that Lam's death was accidental drowning, with her bipolar disorder listed as a significant contributing factor. There was no evidence of foul play, no signs of physical trauma, and no indication that anyone else had been involved in her death. The coroner concluded that Lam, in the midst of a manic episode and not taking her medication properly, had likely accessed the roof through an unlocked fire escape and somehow managed to get into the water tank on her own. Despite the official ruling, the case of Elisa Lam continues to fascinate and disturb people around the world. The elevator video remains a haunting reminder of a young woman's final moments, captured in grainy security footage that shows her apparent distress and confusion. While conspiracy theories continue to circulate online, the most likely explanation is also the most tragic, That a brilliant young woman with her whole life ahead of her fell victim to a serious mental health condition that, when left untreated, can have devastating consequences. The death of Elisa Lam serves as a sobering reminder of the importance of mental health awareness and treatment. Her story highlights how bipolar disorder and other mental health conditions can affect anyone, regardless of age, intelligence, or background. It also demonstrates how quickly misinformation and conspiracy theories can spread in our connected world, sometimes overshadowing the real human tragedy at the heart of these cases. If you found this case as compelling and tragic as we did, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel with notifications turned on. We explore the most intriguing true crime cases and mysteries from around the world, always striving to approach these stories with respect for the victims and their families. Your support helps us continue bringing you these important stories. Until next time, remember that behind every mystery is a real person whose life mattered, and whose story deserves to be told with dignity and truth.